Hello and welcome to HITC Sports. Right, Pep Guardiola has splashed another load of cash on a defender, signing Nathan Ackey for £40 million from relegated Bournemouth. Some think it's an inspired signing, a player who will help bridge the gap between Man City and Liverpool, while other people believe he's a bigger waste of money than a subscription to BritBox. Seriously, who wants to pay to watch Mrs Brown's boys? Since becoming Man City boss, Guardiola spent more than £300 million on exactly 12 defenders, not of his own money of course, he's not crazy. Why spend your own money when you can spend someone else's? But defence has always been the Achilles heel of City since Guardiola took over, making more mistakes than Donald Trump on a Twitter tirade. So today what we're going to do is look at all 12 defenders signed by Guardiola at City and rank them from best to worst. Number 12, Aymeric Laporte. We can joke all we want to about the plethora of defenders signed by Guardiola and the mistakes made, the points lost, but Aymeric Laporte has always been a class act in a City shirt. At £57 million he's been one of their most expensive signings ever, but so far you could say he's been worth every penny. I don't think I've ever really seen him make a mistake. He barely puts a foot wrong, he's like a Rolls Royce of a defender. I imagine I've never drove a Rolls Royce, I make YouTube videos for Christ's sake. But if I did, I imagine it would be as smooth and classy as Laporte, whose absence was a big reason for City's failures in the title race this season. Van Dijk is the best defender in the Premier League, but Aymeric Laporte isn't far behind. Number 11, Kyle Walker. A lot was said when Kyle Walker went from Spurs to Man City. He left to win trophies and cost City a huge fee of £45 million. It was one of the biggest fees for an Englishman ever. All that money for a right back who at Spurs was kind of just good because he was quick and strong. But at City I guess he's proved us all wrong. Sure, he's got the occasional mistake in him, see Wigan in the FA Cup a couple of years ago, but on the whole he's been a key component of Pep's side and a big reason why another player in this list ranks at the other end of the spectrum. Walker's power down the flank makes him one of the best right backs in the league. It's just a shame he can't follow simple instructions. No, not from his manager, the actual government. Number 10, Nathan Ackey. The reason behind this video and the most recent defender to arrive at Man City and take the total spent on defenders beyond the £350 million mark. For context, that's how much the Saudis were going to pay for Newcastle until that fell flat in its arse like the JLS comeback. To be fair, their comeback might have actually been quite successful, I wasn't really paying attention. Anyway, at £40 million, possibly £41 million depending on who you ask, Nathan Ackey is the most expensive player signed from a relegated club, but he'd have cost even more than that had Bournemouth stayed up. Despite going down, Ackey has been one of the Premier League's top defenders since heading to Dean Court and has been linked with pretty much all of the big boys. It's City who have got him though, and I'll be shocked if it doesn't work out. If it doesn't, No, I'm not going to make any stupid bets, I'm not crazy. Number 9, Alexander Zinchenko. Zinchenko was a funny one, as he was signed for a pretty small fee of just £1.7 million, and he didn't even arrive as a defender. He was an attacking midfielder when he first joined the club and looked like a player who had just been signed to fill in for Kevin De Bruyne at meet and greets. He didn't have the vision or technical ability of a De Bruyne or a Silva, but Pep saw something and converted him into a left back. That's Pep's motto really, isn't it? If in doubt, shove them in at left back and see what happens. In the beginning I think he was just a bit of a good luck charm that couldn't lose when he was there. But that runs over now and Zinchenko is merely another option in defence. He isn't first choice by any stretch of the imagination, but for the fee he paid, Guardiola's done a good job to get something out of him. Then again, they could have got £16 million when he joined Wolves in 2018. Number 8, Jan Kuto. It's kind of hard to judge Jan Kuto, considering he's an 18-year-old Brazilian who only joined the club officially the other week. Kuto is a right back because City haven't got enough of those, have they? And could be the long-term replacement for Kyle Walker if all goes to plan. Then again, by the time Kuto might be ready for City, they'll probably spunk another £50 million on someone like Steven Sessegnon or Nelson Semedo. But for the fee they paid, a reported £5 million, Kuto sounds like he has the potential to be a star, and he was also a target for Barcelona as well, and that's got to count for something. So considering we don't know a lot about Kuto and it's still early days, we'll just shove him in here at 8th. Number 7, Philippe Sandler. The second most famous Sandler behind Adam, one day we might actually see Philippe Sandler in the Premier League, or maybe even a film about golf. He's 23 now and hasn't played a league game for the club, and last season he was on loan at Anderlecht until he was struck by injury, so maybe a bit more time under the watchful eye of Vincent Kompany could be a good idea, because if there's anyone that knows a thing or two about defending, it's him. Sandler arrived in the summer of 2018 for just under £3 million, so it wasn't a big investment, but he's a curious character considering his limited first team experience despite now being 23. Will he end up proving his worth to Pep when he returns this summer? I'm gonna guess no. Number 6, Benjamin Mendy. £52 million is how much Benjamin Mendy cost Man City in 2017, and he's probably one of the luckiest and unluckiest footballers on the planet. He's got so many medals it's frightening. I mean, the bloke's technically a World Cup winner despite spending most of the tournament on the bench. And if he hasn't been on the bench, he's been with the physio nursing another injury while his teammates get the job done and deliver another trophy his way. But when Mendy is fit and firing, he's perfect for Pep, with a wicked delivery from out wide giving City an extra attacking option that Fabian Delph couldn't really provide. The issue is fitness and maybe a lack of professionalism at times, although he's often looks like the life and soul of the dressing room. Then again, I doubt Rodri's a Bantosaurus Rex, he probably just trips up anything he sees moving. £52 million was a lot of money for Mendy. Some days he looks worth it, other days you wonder why they paid any more than 5. And that's why he's bang in the middle of this video, he's basically Marmite. Number 5, Danilo. I'm not really sure what the point of Danilo was. He arrived the same summer as Walker and Mendy for about £26.5 million, but was always going to be a backup. That's a lot of money for a backup option, and he wasn't even that good. Most of the time he had to play at left back instead of on the right, which hindered him from the off. Christ, the bloke even played centre back at times. He was basically just a body that Pep used to plug a gap like a shoddy plumber trying to fix a leak. While he did score that cracker against Burnley, I can't really think of any other high moments for Danilo in a City shirt, and then after 2 years he was shipped out. So either he got bored of being a backup, or Pep got bored of him and wanted a shinier, more expensive backup. But we'll come to that later on. Number 4, Angelino. Sometimes you look at a transfer and think, what on earth was the point in that? And that's basically how you can sum up Angelino's return to Man City. He was a key figure in the early stages of City's new academy and looked like a future star. But then out of nowhere he was on the move. Well, he returned last summer from PSV because of a buyback clause, and then a few months later he was shipped off again to RB Leipzig on loan. Does Pep want him or not? Or is this just a case of clubs using the buyback clause so they can get a player back and get the profit themselves? Angelino isn't even that bad, he looked pretty decent for Leipzig, but obviously he's not a long-term option for City. Christ, he wasn't even a short-term option. So unless they get big money selling him off, what was the point? But even if that does happen, it's just a case of footballers being used as pawns for financial gain. Which isn't cool at all. Stop treating footballers like pieces of meat, okay? Number 3, Pedro Porro. You'd be forgiven for forgetting or not even realising that Pedro Porro is a Man City player. But the Spanish right back arrived at the club last summer for 11 million quid from feeder club Girona, which is surely a little bit dodgy, isn't it? But anyway, forget about that, because it won't be long before Pedro Porro is just a part of City's long history of transfer mishaps in years gone by. He was loaned out straight away to Real Valladolid, and now there's talk of him going to Sporting for 2 years before going there permanently. 11 million quid, and the lad isn't even going to get a chance. Doesn't Pep know that he turns out canny decent on FIFA? Number 2, Joao Cancelo. We've alluded to him a couple of times so far, but Joao Cancelo is Pep Guardiola's second worst defensive signing at Man City. The price is an interesting one, as officially he cost £60 million, but then Danilo went the other way to Juventus for £33 million, so he's effectively £27 million. They're basically just throwing money at each other like the Wolf of Wall Street. But Cancelo came in as an expensive replacement for Danilo. Tasso's doing the same job of being an option on both sides of the pitch, and just like Danilo, he's barely been given a chance. Cancelo can be a top fullback if he gets a settled run in the team, but as long as Kyle Walker's still doing the business, that just isn't going to happen. Number 1, John Stones. I feel bad for John Stones, as he's basically just a comedy character now like Michael Scott or Homer Simpson. The promise was there when he first arrived at City, it looked perfect for Pep, but in the past 18 months or so the wheels have totally fallen off. Nowadays you'd rather actually have Homer Simpson in defence, or maybe just Nathan Ackey. Stones cost an initial £47.5 million in Pep's first summer in charge, and now that fee looks absolutely laughable. Every time he steps onto the pitch you're just waiting for a mistake, and more often than not you get it. He can still be a top class defender, but right now he's the biggest example of Pep Guardiola wasting massive amounts of money on defenders, throwing money at a problem like a divorced dad trying to win back the love of his kids. So there we have it, those are all of Pep Guardiola's defensive signings at Man City ranked from best to worst. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to HITC Sport, and until next time we'll see you around.